Okay, good evening everybody and welcome this evening to Johnstown, the home of nGael Football Club for the King and Moffat Junior A Group C Round 3 match between nGael and Kilglass Gaels. So both these teams have played 2 games already. This is the third round in this group, which also includes Porrick Pierces and Elphin. And nGael, after 2 good wins, find themselves in a strong position on the top of the league on 4 points. Porrick Pierces and Kilglass are both below them on 2 points each. Porrick Pierces plays Elphin this evening. So there's lots to play for in this game. nGael have been very impressive up to this point so far. So at this point I'd like to welcome Michael and Maria Carty and Declan Walsh, our production team, here today doing the video. And we're bringing this to you courtesy of them and nGael to your homes this evening to be able to watch this stream live. A few changes on the nGael team. There's a few injuries. Matt Scally is out injured and Darragh Egan is injured, and the nGael team lines up with David Finnan in goal, Ronan Gavin, Oliver Herney and Adam Herney, Kieran Connaughton right half back, Sean Fallon centre and Derek Kildare left half. We have a midfield of Shea Henry and David Connaughton. Ross Naughton plays now at right half forward. Niall Lennon is in at centre forward in place of the injured Matt Scally, and Killian Bannon makes up the half forward line. Rian McNamara plays at 13, Callum O'Brien at 14, and the evergreen Johnny Dunning lines out at number 15. And now we have our Ron Naveen. So quick run through Kilglass. Daniel Duffy in goal, Raymond Gearty, Leo Cox and Cian Diffley, Gary Goldrick, Gavin Tully and Michael McCormick, Tommy Cox and Richie Drooner. Full forward line of Daniel Cox, Kieran McHugh and Kevin Feary. Our referee this evening is Noel Galvin from St Aidan's. The ball is thrown in and the game is on, and straight away Richie Drooner breaks that ball down to Tommy Cox. Tommy looks forward and feeds that ball into the full forward Kieran McHugh. Kieran fumbles that ball but he picks it up, turns inside, looks to see has he some, that's Tommy Cox inside, and the ball back into Tommy Cox, who's made his way inside. He flicks the ball to one side. The ball is kicked over the bar by Daniel Cox for a fine point. 20 seconds into the game. A great start by Kilglass Gaels. The ball was won by Richie Dooner in the middle of the field. Tommy Cox made his way forward and the ball eventually got to the hands of Daniel Cox, who kicked the ball over the bar. So a good start for Kilglass Gaels, who lead by a point to no score. The ball is kicked out by David Finnan out to this side of the field, aiming for Shea Henry. The ball runs over the line. Dark clouds overhead here. There's a danger of rain. We're hoping that it'll hold off for us while this game is going ahead. So this is Daniel Cox. Daniel Cox plays that ball into the middle once again to Kieran McHugh, who once again gets out in front of Oliver Herney, picks up the ball, turns onto his right foot, looks up, takes a shot. It screws off the outside of his right boot, but it's gone over the bar. I thought from our point here it looked like it was going to drift wide, but it drifted over the bar, and this really is a lightning start for Kilglass Gaels, and they seem to be following that route into Kieran McHugh at full forward, who has won the first 2 balls and looks very impressive. So David Finnan kicks the ball out again, long to the middle of the field. Up they go, well taken by Ross Naughton at number 13. Ross feeds that ball inside for Callum O'Brien. Callum gets out in front. Ball drops but he picks it up. Fine player Callum O'Brien. Inside to Ross Naughton. Back, turns inside again and on his left foot with the outside of the... Oh, that's a lovely point by Ross Naughton. That's a great reply for nGael. Ross Naughton won that initial ball from the kick out, fed it into Callum O'Brien, who is a wonderful target man inside there. Callum took the ball, found Ross Naughton again, and he kicked a lovely score off his left foot. So, high scoring start to this game. We're just into it, and it's 2 points to 1. Ball is kicked out to the middle of the field and Shea Henry takes it all on his own. Shea puts it into Ross Naughton, back to Shea Henry again. Shea wearing number 10 but playing in the middle of the field. Shea drops the ball down, is picked up by Richie Dooner, given to Tom Cox. Tom moves forward, looking again for that full forward line, but this time Oliver Herney is out in front and wins that ball well. Good full back play to Ross Naughton, who's everywhere at the moment. Ross Naughton to David Connaughton wearing number 28. So David looks up and starts carrying the ball in along. David, an ex-Stringer player, gives it to Ross Naughton, who continues his run outside him. Ross looks up, but he overcarried that ball, put it from one hand to the other, and the move breaks down. But again, good incisive move by nGael. Just the last ball let them down. So Kilglass brings the ball back into play, but that ball is kicked out, and Oliver Herney finds himself on his own. Oliver puts a long ball down to David Connaughton, who found space. David is tackled by Gary Goldrick and Richie Dooner. Richie Dooner goes down the ball, but David Connaughton picks up the loose ball again, feeds it back outside. This is Kieran Connaughton. Kieran, from about 40 yards out, takes a high shot with his right foot over the bar. That's a great score by Kieran Connaughton. So an equalising score for Kieran. It's 2 points apiece. This never started. So the rain is beginning to come down on here. Probably, hopefully, just a shower. So we're trying to get ourselves into shelter. Meanwhile, a kick out from the Kilglass goalkeeper goes out the side where Tommy Cox takes that ball, but it drops. It's picked up in there by Rian McNamara. Rian McNamara gives it to Shea Henry, who's pushing by him. Shea Henry gives that ball out to the right, but it's dropped inside and it's dropped short, and it's collected in there by Raymond Garty. Raymond Garty gives the ball out the field. Quick ball out to Tommy Cox. Sorry for the breaking sound there. We're trying to deal with this rain here, which is pushing in on us now. It's a horrendous rain shower at the moment. Meanwhile, the Kilglass attack with Richie Dooner. Richie Dooner gives it out the side to Daniel Cox. This time he goes for another point. That ball lofts high into the air, but it's broken by Kieran Connaughton out to Ian Herney. Adam Herney, who now comes out the field. Adam Herney gives that ball out, and once again it's with David Connaughton. David Connaughton picks it up, but he fumbles the ball, but he flicks it inside to Ross Naughton, who's everywhere at the moment. Ross picks that ball up, but he flicks it up nicely with his right foot. Gives it back again to David Connaughton, who's continued his run in. And David Connaughton with the outside of his left foot. Oh, that's a lovely score from David Connaughton. Brings it in from right to left and kicks a lovely score. So, after a lightning start by Kilglass, where they got the first 2 goals, nGael has made a good comeback and now lead by 3 points to 2 on what has turned out to be a horrendous evening here at the moment with wind and rain. Meanwhile, the Kilglass goalkeeper, Daniel Duffy, looks up and he goes short. That ball is flicked out to the sideline. It's going to run out and it's gone. He was kicking that ball for Michael McCormick, but he didn't read it. So the ball is taken quickly. Ross Naughton goes up, breaks the ball down, but Kilglass win it back there. And this ball is with Raymond Garty. Raymond Garty gives the ball out to the attacking fullback for Kilglass, Leo Cox. Leo Cox still has the ball. Leo gives it to Tommy Cox, his namesake. Tommy cuts inside, he's running. He's faced by Sean Fallon, but he gives the ball into the centre to Pierce Bulger. Pierce Bulger on his left foot goes high, but that ball drops into the hands of David Finneran, and David Finneran comes out the field. Ball is played out wide, but the wind again. So the wind is blowing here from the stand side of the field in on top of the clubhouse where we're positioned here at the moment. So there's strong breeze and wind, so hopefully that'll blow off after a while. Ball meanwhile is played into the full forward. This again is Cian Murto, who started very well. Kieran McHugh with his right foot, but that time it dropped short. But David Finneran has dropped the ball. The ball breaks out to Daniel Cox, and it's a foul. We have a penalty. The ball was hit in. It was mishit by Kieran McHugh, dropped into David Finneran, but the ball broke away from him, was picked up again by Daniel Cox, and Daniel Cox was fouled by David Finneran. So we've got a penalty. We've got a penalty for Kilglass. So this penalty is going to be taken by Gavin Tully, the centre half back. So a chance here for Kilglass to go into the lead again. There's some consternation as to where the ball is on the penalty spot, but they find the spot eventually. It's in there somewhere. So Gavin Tully against David Finneran. Great chance here for Kilglass to go into the lead. He stands back. He's going to hit this with his right foot. He comes up, he shoots. It's low and it's in. Good score. David Finneran was unlucky. He got down on the right side and got his hands to it, but the ball carried on and it's the roof of the net. So we're back to a 2-point game again. It is 1-2 for Kilglass and 3 points for nGael. So a bright start here, even in the bad conditions. Plenty of scores been got. The teams look pretty even at the moment. So a mistake there in the nGael goal mount gave away that penalty, and it has given Kilglass the opportunity to go ahead. So meanwhile, David Finner kicks that ball out high to the middle of the field. David Connaughton goes and Gavin Tully, who has come into this game. Gavin gives it to ex-county player Tommy Cox. Tommy is very strong going forward. Tommy gives that ball out to the left to Pierce Bulger. Pierce Bulger takes a high shot in, but it's taken by David Finner. David Finner to Dara Kildare. Dara out to Adam Herney, and nGael build again up along on this side. Adam Herney carries that ball forward, wearing number 4 on his back. He looks inside and flicks it to David Connaughton, who's everywhere in the middle of the field. David Connaughton gives the ball to Shea Henry, who's marauding through the middle. Shea Henry into Johnny Dunnan. Johnny Dunnan shoots. Oh, and Johnny Dunnan scores. The right man got the ball eventually. Johnny Dunnan would have found himself in that position lots of times, and if you needed somebody in a position like that to score a goal, no one better than the veteran Johnny Dunnan, who scored a fabulous goal. But that was a great move up the middle, instigated by David Connaughton and Shea Henry to open up the Kilglass defence. So we've got a high scoring game here. It's 1-3 to 1-2. Ball is kicked out short, comes to Tommy Cox. Tommy looks up, plays the ball up to Gavin Tully. Gavin Tully looks up to see who's available. Again they go to that full forward route, but the ball is dropping. Oh, and that's well held back there. Well held by Dara Kildare. Great fetch to Sean Fallon. Sean Fallon again to David Connaughton, who's now exerting a lot of pressure around the middle of the field. David Connaughton goes wide to Callum O'Brien, who makes himself available. He gets it on the far side, flicks it inside to Ross Naughton, who's continued his run. Ross Naughton looks up, and on his left foot, Ross Naughton clips the ball over the bar. So a great response by nGael to that penalty, and they now lead by 1-4 to 1-2. That last score being got by Ross Naughton. So this is a very open game, been played at a quick pace, even though the weather isn't conducive to that, and handling has in fairness been pretty good. So back to Daniel Duffy. Daniel Duffy kicks the ball out this side of the field, where Gary Goldrick jumps for it, but the ball is broken by Niall Lennon. Niall Lennon breaks it, and it's picked up once again by David Connaughton, who's having a fabulous game. David is fouled by Damien Garrity from behind, and referee Noel Galvin gives a free. So a free here for nGael, and a chance to extend their lead. Extend their lead. The lead at the moment 1-4 to 1-2. The ball is given short to Niall Lennon. Niall Lennon feeds it back out to Johnny Dunnan. Johnny Dunnan looks across, and here's Shea Henry. Shea playing from the middle of the field. Shea goes with his right foot from 40 yards out, but that ball drifts to the left and wide. So Shea Henry is playing with number 10 on his back, but he's playing in the middle of the field alongside David Connaughton, who is number 28 on his back. Niall Lennon is playing at wing half forward with number 18 on his back, with Ross Naughton, number 13, playing centre forward, and Killian Bannon is on the other side. So David Duffy starts it off again. Quick ball out the middle, where Tommy Cox comes and wins that ball in front. Tommy Cox, strong player, looks up, gives it out right here to Gary Goldrick. Gary Goldrick back to Tommy Cox. So Kilglass are pushing forward again. Tommy fumbles the ball, but has time to pick it up again. He's met by Derek Kildare, but he feeds it back out to Gary Goldrick. Gary Goldrick, but there was a foul after the ball was given on Tommy Cox. So referee Shea Galvin calls over Niall Lennon. 2 members of the force, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be an interesting chat. So meanwhile, this is going to be a chance for Kilglass Gaels to pull back a score. At the moment, nGael lead by 1-4 to 1-2, and we're roughly about 12 to 15 minutes into the first half. So that's a yellow card for Niall Lennon after a foul. I think the foul was committed after Tommy Cox had released the ball. So the ball is in the hands of Richie Dooner, the veteran Richie Dooner, ex-county footballer. He played wing half back for Roscommon. Richie has the ball in his hands, so he looks up, he goes with his right foot out at the right side of the right foot to bend it in round about his dropping in. David Finner comes out and punches that ball out, but it only goes as far as the Kilglass forward, but it's won well by Oliver Herney, who gives it to Shea Henry, and Shea Henry takes that ball down the field again. This is Shea Henry's forte, carrying the ball on. He goes short to Ian McNamara, but the ball breaks and it's picked up by the ever ready Gavin Tully at centre back. Gavin feeds that ball out to the far side, and the ball is with Cian Diffley. Cian Diffley gives that ball out to the far side to Barry Conroy. Barry Conroy looks inside once again, trying to feed Kieran McHugh, but that ball goes over his head and is easily picked up by David Finner. David Finner carries it out, gives that ball out to Ronan Gavin. Ronan wearing number 8, but now playing cornerback. Ronan goes out to Kieran Connaughton. Kieran Connaughton back into Ross Naughton. Ross Naughton calling the play from centre forward to David Connaughton. This is a good move by nGael, and way out this side to Adam Herney, who's raiding up along this side. Adam gives that ball forward to Ronan Gavin, who's continued his run from cornerback. He gives it to Callum O'Brien, who's come out loose. Callum to Derek Kildare. Derek Kildare dinks the ball into the middle to Johnny Dunnan, but that ball is well cleared inside there, and it's taken out by Kilglass Gael's defence. Given to Richie Dunnan, but it goes over his head straight to Adam Herney. Adam Herney gives the ball straight back into Johnny Dunnan, who had found space. Johnny turns, and on his right foot, Johnny curls the ball. It's dropping short and over the bar. So, a mistake there by Kilglass Gaels on their way out with the ball. After winning good possession inside, gave the ball away, and it eventually found its way to Johnny Dunnan, who tapped that ball over the bar to now put Clann ahead by 1-5 to 1-2. So a 3-point lead for Clann. After initially a lightning start by Kilglass Gaels, then Clann came back into it, gave away a penalty, but they got on top again. Ball kicked out to the middle field. Shea Henry and Richie Dooner. That ball breaks to David Connaughton, who's exerting more and more pressure on this game from the middle of the field. Into Rian McNamara. Rian McNamara dinks that ball low to Johnny Dunnan, who controls it with his right foot. Takes the ball up, it breaks nicely for him. He's coming back out the field, but he looks across. Clever as always to Ross Nocton, all on his own on this side of the field. Ross looks up and turns inside, but overcarried that ball. He really got caught in two minds there as to what to do. He kicked a great point from there 5 or 6 minutes ago, but that time it took too much time. So back out with the game again. Tommy Cox moving forward after taking the ball from Carty. Tommy gives it to Pierce Bulger, who's out the field. He gives that ball up into the corner to Kevin Feeney, who feeds it inside to that full forward again, Kieran McHugh. And the last couple of balls that has gone into Kieran McHugh has, in all fairness to him, been very difficult because they're coming too wide of him or in over his head. He does seem to be the target man in there for Kilglass Gaels, and he started this game very well. But the last couple of balls that have gone to him have gone astray. So it settles down again. Thankfully the rain has stopped here and the wind has eased off a bit. We did well to hold on to the camera and indeed the cameraman there when that blast of breeze came, but he's still with us. Ball is kicked out this side of the field. Sean Fallon goes up and catches the ball all on his own, takes his mark, looks up, dinks it to Ross Nocton. Oh, and that ball is well won in the middle there by Damien Garrity, who jumped in, but the ball breaks again to Nocton. Nocton to Lennon. Lennon inside to Rian McNamara. Rian McNamara gives that ball into Ross Nocton, who's on a lot of ball now at the moment, into Kieran Connaughton, who's marauding up the middle. Kieran looks up. Who's this ball going to? Shea Henry, who's found space. Shea Henry goes into the middle, goes for goal, and that's a great block inside. But the ball breaks back out again to Kieran Connaughton, who on his left foot scoops that ball wide. That was a great ball inside. But I think it was Gary Goldrick who made Leo Cox made a wonderful block there on the ball that was being fed through in a dangerous position by Shea Henry. So, Daniel Duffy gets ready to kick out again. But meanwhile, Shea Galvin has called for a water break, so we'll take a drinks break for a minute at the moment. After 18 minutes and 50 seconds when he blew it, the score reads at Clann are leading by 1-5 to 1-2. Callum O'Brien with a point, Kieran Connaughton with a point, Johnny Dunnan has got 1-1, Ross Nocton got a point. Meanwhile, at the other end, Daniel Cox and Kieran McHugh got two good points, followed by a good penalty by Gavin Tully, which brought them back into it. But Clann have opened up a 3-point lead in the last few minutes. So this is a good tight game. Plenty of scores coming. It's open football. It's proper championship football. Kilglass, as I mentioned earlier on, needs to really try and get a win here this evening to give themselves a chance of qualifying automatically. As you know, in this group there's 4 teams. Top 2 teams qualify automatically for the quarter final, and then the third team goes into a lottery as the best third place team to make a quarter final. At the moment, before this game as it stood, Clann and Kilglass were in pole position. Clann top with 4 points, Kilglass with 2, but Kilglass has a better scoring difference than Porrick Pierces, so that would have placed them in second place. But as I says, Porrick Pierces are playing Elphin this evening, and if Pierces win that, which the expectation is that they would, really Kilglass Gaels would need to be getting a result here today. Once again, just to mention that the sponsor of the Clann junior team is Series Bar in Athlone, so we'd like to mention them, and also to mention that the Clann Lotto up again this week and has now gone to a massive €11,000. So that's the one that you're trying to win. If you can, you play online as you know, as usual, or you buy your ticket, and that draw will be held tomorrow night. So, quick water break, quick turnaround. Do another program. Thank you. Once again, thanks to our club secretary Fidel Millennium, who's here with programs and phones and water and pens. And even though she might be given out, she's doing an excellent job as a secretary. Okay, so here we go. So once again, We start from a kick out with Daniel Duffy from Kilglass Gaels. So Daniel looks up. Kilglass probably need a score now at this stage. Out to Tommy Cox, the veteran Tommy Cox. Excellent footballer, ex-county footballer. Tommy dinks that ball forward, but that ball is well broke over there by Sean Fallon, who attacks that ball with Kevin Feeney. Fallon, but Tommy Cox picks up the loose ball that was broken in front and gets possession back for Kilglass Gaels. So he leaves that ball for Michael McCormack. Michael McCormack will look up. Gives that ball quick inside to Kevin Feeney. Kevin Feeney turns inside. Tackled by Killian Bannon. Feeney steals the ball. He's stripped by Bannon, but the loose ball is picked up by Tommy Cox and back again with Feeney, who is now fouled. So good work there by Kevin Feeney to hold on to that ball. He now looks up and he goes once again long for Kieran McHugh. Kieran McHugh this time gets in front of Oliver Herney, but fumbles the ball. Oliver, who had slipped, picked up and the ball miraculously back into his hands. Out to David Connaughton, who's everywhere in the middle of the field. Ross Naughton, who's playing well at centre forward. Out to Niall Lennon, who got in instead of Matt Scally. Back to Ross Naughton. Ross turns inside. Kieran Connaughton making the push forward. Kieran goes across the field with the ball, tackled by Richie Dooner. Goes into the corner where Johnny Dunnan is now beginning to exert his dominance in that corner. Turns inside his man. Johnny Dunnan gets on his right foot, looks up, shoots, and over the bar. Fabulous point by Johnny Dunnan after winning the ball. Turned inside Cian Diffley, turned him in and out, and eventually took his shot with his right foot to put it over the bar. That now is a goal and 2 points for Johnny Dunn. And it leaves the score 1-6 to 1-2 after, with 16 minutes left in this second half. Ball is kicked out by Daniel Duffy to the middle of the field. Comes over everybody and comes to Kieran Connaughton. Kieran feeds it out to Niall Lennon, coming more into this game. Dinks it into the middle where Callum O'Brien, out in front of his man. Callum wins it well, turns onto his left foot. Callum kicks the ball high, dropping and over the bar. Lucky that it went over the bar. Daniel Duffy had it in his hands, but it doesn't matter, they all count. It was accurate, it was on target, and he got the look for taking the shot. So nGael now beginning to exert the pressure a bit and are pulling ahead. They have now hold a 5-point lead at the moment. The lead 1-7 to 1-2. Meanwhile, Daniel Duffy kicks that ball out to the middle of the field. Richie Dooner, but that's well held by Shea Henry. Shea Henry looks up and feeds the ball quickly into Callum O'Brien. This nGael full forward line is now beginning to get on top. Callum turns right, turns left, goes back inside, turns out onto his left foot, turns again, holds the ball out to Ross Naughton in a good position for the goal. Ross takes it. Ross on his left foot. Ross kicks the ball and Ross puts the ball over the bar. And really now nGael are really beginning to exert their pressure now. Players like David Connaughton and Shea Henry are taking control in the middle of the field. Callum O'Brien is now shown in front, and the ever dangerous Johnny Dullan inside. Daniel Duffy once again lines up this kick out, looking to see where this is going. It comes out this side this time. Kieran Connaughton is under and Tommy Cox. Kieran Connaughton catches that ball wonderfully. Fine fielder of the ball to Ross Naughton, back to Kieran Connaughton. Kieran Connaughton takes the tackle, but our referee deems that he had overcarried the ball. Ball to Kilglass Gaels, quick kick, taken to Tommy Cox, moving forward to the 50, moving inside the 50, followed by David Connaughton. Flicks that ball to the far side, picked up over there by Feeney. Kevin Feeney turns onto his right foot, drops it, but into the hands of David Finneran for what I think is probably about the third time in this half. Kilglass need all those scores. Ball is fed by Adam Herney out to Killian Banning. Killian hits it up along to Ross Naughton in loads of space here in front of us. Coming up the left hand side, Ross turns inside his man. Still going forward. Ross Naughton now looks up, now feeds Johnny Dunnan. Johnny is out in front and gets his hands on that ball, puts his hands up for the mark, and that's an excellent take by Johnny Dunnan. Fabulous ball fed in by Ross Naughton, one out in front by Johnny Dunning, and really now Johnny Dunning, Callum O'Brien and these guys are beginning to exert the pressure in there. Johnny kicks with his right foot, and Johnny Dunnan has kicked his 4th point this evening, or is it his third? His third. Johnny Dunnan has 1-3 scored. And at that, it's nGael winning by 1-8 to 1-2. So nGael are now moved 6 points clear. And we've got 8 minutes left in this first half. So 8 minutes to go to half time, and nGael are now beginning to pull away. Daniel Duffy kicks that ball out to the middle of the field. Tommy Cox again and David Connaughton. Ball breaks. Tommy Cox wins it. Tommy is actually playing well for Kilglass here this evening. He's working very hard. To his centre back, Gavin Tully, the goal scorer. Gavin Tully dinks that ball again forward to Kieran McHugh, but the ball breaks inside and it's well covered there by Adam Herney. Adam out to Oliver Herney. Oliver, no relation, to Sean Fallon, and back again to the marauding Adam Herney. Adam, who has come back after a long injury and has made his way back onto this team and playing very well. To Kieran Connaughton, who's played well in this game as well. Kieran turns back. Tries to feed the ball to Sean Fallon, but Sean had gone too far ahead. Kilglass has it and now play a quick ball inside. Quick ball into Pierce Bulger. Pierce Bulger in room now. He's got Barry Conroy inside him, and he gives it to Barry Conroy, who's bearing in on goal, turns on his left foot. Barry Conroy kicks and Barry Conroy scores. And that was a lightning score by Kilglass Gaels. Well manufactured after a poor mistake where Kieran Connaughton misplaced the ball to Sean Fallon, went out over the line, a quick line ball, and it ended up with the ball being kicked over the bar by Barry Conroy. So, we're back to a 5-point game. Clonagale won 8, Kilglass won 3. We have got 7 minutes left in this first half. Ball is kicked out this side by David Finnan, dropping short, but it reaches and just comes off the hands of Gary Goldrick there after getting his hands to it, so it's a Clonagale ball. Clonagale have the ball, and it's with Killian Bannon, number 12. Killian is just under us here. You may not be able to see him. Killian goes back to Kieran Connaughton, back to Killian Bannon again, and he looks forward. Takes a solo. Tackled by Tommy Cox, and that's a free. He gets the free. Killian Bannon into the centre to David Connaughton, always available. David Connaughton turns inside his man, that's Gary Goldrick. He's fouled, and Shea Galvin is calling over Gary Goldrick, and he's got his book out. So while it was an innocuous enough foul, I think the point he's making is that that was his second or third one in a short period of time. Gary is arguing the case, but Shea gives him a yellow card, so we've got a yellow card for Gary Goldrick. Meanwhile, it's a free to Clonagale out in the middle of the field. The ball is in the hands of David Connaughton. David is looking around to see where he's going. He goes back to Sean Fallon. Sean Fallon back to David Connaughton again, and Clonagale start again. Sean Fallon up the middle, and Sean goes long. Dinked inside, but that ball is well read by Gavin Tully, centre back. Gavin Tully gives the ball quickly out to Barry Conroy. Barry back to Richie Dooner. Richie Dooner back to Tom Cox, and Kilglass attack up the right hand side. Tom Cox, and there was a foul. There was a foul off the ball on Kevin Feeney by, I think it was Killian Bannon. Feeney gave the ball and was running to take a return, and he may have been stopped by Killian Bannon, who is now with Shea Galvin in the middle of the field. It depends what Shea saw here will determine what happens here. Meanwhile, to their credit, Kilglass Gaels, who are now down by 1-8 to 1-3, needs to be getting a score if they can, and that was a black card for Killian Bannon. So Killian Bannon is now off, and Clonagale are now down to 14 men for the rest of this half and a few minutes of the second half. Ball is kicked in, but Kieran McHugh lets it fall out of his hands, and Clonagale get a chance to pick it up. Clann now down to 14 men after Killian Bannon getting that black card. So they come out the field. David Connaughton clearing that ball back to his goalkeeper David Finnan. Clonagale need to consolidate now for a few minutes. Ball is given out to Shea Henry in the middle of the field. Shea Henry takes a good shoulder by Gavin Tully and stands up and gives that ball to Ross Naughton. Ross Naughton attacking up the middle of the field. Ross goes long inside, but inside there is a loose man for Kilglass. That loose man is Michael McCormack, and he takes that ball, gives it out to Damien Gearty. Damien Gearty up the field to Kevin Feeney, but Kevin Feeney lets the ball run by him, and it's cleared up by Ross Naughton, who tips it back along to David Connaughton. David to Adam Herney. Adam Herney to Kieran Connaughton, who looks up, waits to find a man. That man is Shea Henry in the centre of the field. Shea Henry looking up again, flicks the ball out to his right to Derek O'Day, who is attacked up the right hand side. Rian McNamara back again to Derek O'Day. This is a good movement by Clonagale, but Dara drops the ball, but it's picked up wonderfully by Johnny Dunnan, who comes across the goal, gives it to Derek O'Day, back to Kieran Connaughton. Kieran turns inside, rides the tackle, turns back out. Referee has his hand up to play advantage, and there's a free for Clonagale. That's excellent play by Clonagale on that side. Even though they're down a man, they held the ball. Johnny Dunnan won that ball inside and held it. Took it into a position where he would give the pass, and Clonagale maintained possession. Meanwhile, we have a change on the Kilglass team, and number 5, Gary Goldrick, who's just after getting a yellow card there, is making way, and he is replaced by number 20, Dara Maguire. So Dara Maguire has come in. Meanwhile, Callum O'Brien on his left foot, 35 yards out, strokes that ball perfectly over the bar for his first score of the game. Callum O'Brien. Meanwhile, we're back to the rain again. The rain has started again, and unfortunately it's blowing right in on top of our position here, but we'll continue to tell you what's going on. Daniel Duffy kicks that ball short to Gavin Tully. Gavin Tully out to his left hand side, and Kilglass attack again up the stand side. Back in for Gavin Tully, who's tackled by Ross Naughton, but the ball comes over the top to Kevin Feeney, who's now playing deep out the field. Kevin looks this side. Dara Maguire, the new man, is free, but he gives it instead into the middle to Tommy Cox. Tommy Cox turns left, turns right. David Connaughton stays with him. That's good tackling by David Connaughton, but Tommy Cox is making his way through. Tommy Cox is still going, feeds the ball back out to Barry Conroy, back out to Damien Garrity, inside to Pierce Bulger. Pierce on his left foot takes a shot. Oh, and that's a fabulous point. That's a well worked point. They worked hard, they created the extra man, they found the man, and they eventually got the ball to the shooter, Pierce Bulger, and Pierce from 35 yards out in front of the goal kicks a fine point. So another point for Kilglass. We're now back to a scoreline of 1-8 to 1. Sorry, 110 to 1-4. 110 to 1-4. So Clann are back to a 6-point game. 110 to 1-4 in favour of nGael. David Finnern looks up, gives that ball high in the middle of the field. Underneath it is Callum O'Brien, who goes up and fetches that ball. Oh, that's a great catch by Callum O'Brien in the middle of the field. Takes his mark. This guy is capable of doing them sort of things even at full forward or at midfield. So Callum takes it up, looks to see who's available, comes across this side of the field to Kieran Connaughton, who's made a great run. Kieran Connaughton confronted by Michael McCormack, but gives the ball inside to Rian McNamara. Now Shea Henry takes the ball on the burst, turns onto his right foot, but he overcarried that ball, just took one step too many with it, just got caught in two minds as to what to do. Richie Dooner looks up, quick ball out here to Raymond Garrity on this side of the field. Raymond Garrity looks up to see what's available, turns back inside to Richie Dooner again. Richie Dooner flicks it over the top to Kevin Feeney, who's now playing out in the midfield. Richie Dooner again, this guy is a veteran and a good player and playing very strong in the middle of the field for Kilglass. Richie back out to Kevin Feeney. Kevin Feeney looks up, they're now probing. They have got an extra man, so nGael have dropped people back, but he flicks a lovely ball inside to Pierce Bulger, who has found space, but Pierce Bulger is well tackled by Sean Fallon, who knocks the ball out of his hands, and nGael pick it up and come again. Kieran Connaughton to Ross Nocton. Ross, who was revelling in this centre forward position spot this evening, making the play to Kieran Connaughton, who's constantly attacking, to his other attacking half-back, which is Derek Kildare. The nGael half-back line aren't afraid to attack. Ball is given out this side the whole way again, so Derek Kildare picks it up, running, gives it to Shea Henry, who's now found space. Shea Henry onto his right foot. Shea Henry from 35 yards out. That ball drops short into the hands of Daniel Duffy. Now Daniel Duffy carries that ball out the field. Daniel Duffy runs Shane Kern out. He's now coming to the middle of the field. He's gone out to midfield, but he slips and falls, and that ball breaks. Oh, and Shea Galvin saw a foul where I thought he may have handled it on the ground, but Shea claims that he was fouled when he slipped on the ground by Callum O'Brien. So he makes his way back into goal, and meanwhile Darren Maguire, the new player, takes the ball on, comes this side of the field to Kevin Feeney, who's now out the field, faced by Ross Nocton. But Kevin turns back inside, turns outside, carries it up the right hand side. This is Kevin Feeney, this is Kilglass, a man up. Can they make it count? Great tackling by Ross Nocton, but the ball is laid off to Gavin Tully, the goal scorer. Gavin goes in and he's fouled by Shea Henry as he attacks that goal, and it's a free kick to Kilglass Gaels on the 21 yards line, about 15 yards to the right of the goal, into what we call here the road end. So it's turned out to be a miserable evening. It's dropping rain here the whole time. The breeze has died. It seems to be coming in gusts. We hope you're enjoying this at home in the comfort of your homes. And meanwhile, time, the 30 minutes has actually elapsed here, so we're moving into injury time here. Meanwhile, it's Pierce Bulger with his left foot. Pierce kicks that ball, he puts it across the goal, it drifts across though and doesn't come in for him in the end and drifts wide on the far side. So it's still 110 to 1-4. We have a 6-point ball game here after what I have to say has been an entertaining first half. As we said, Kilglass got off to a flyer, nGael took over, but a penalty brought Kilglass back into it. nGael then exerted their pressure, but Kilglass, to their credit, are hanging in there. So 6-point ball game. David Finnern out the middle of the field, and again Callum O'Brien up and catch. That's 2 in a row from Callum O'Brien. Callum is putting his hand up for inclusion in the senior team, and he's doing it well here this evening. To Niall Lennon up along that wing. Niall Lennon back into the side to Rian McNamara. Rian's first shot to go with his right foot. Rian, that's a lovely point by Rian McNamara. So Rian McNamara gets what I think is his first point of the evening to put nGael 111 to 1-4 up. It's back to a 7-point game again. Meanwhile, Daniel Duffy, quick kick out this side of the field. Ball is there for Barry Conroy, but unfortunately he drops it, but it breaks back to him and Barry Conroy picks it up. He was lucky to get that ball back. Turns inside, fouled by Adam Harney. Ball is picked up by Raymond Garrity. Raymond quickly up along to Bulger. Bulger the centre forward, Pierce Bulger running in. Turns back again, left footed. Back to Barry Conroy. Barry Conroy into Richie Dooner. Back to Pierce Bulger. Pierce Bulger gives that ball out to Tommy Cox. Back to Richie Dooner, and Richie decides he's going to have a run. Richie does what most experienced players puts down his head, draws the foul and gets the foul. So clever play there by the veteran Richie Dooner, who along with Tommy Cox is performing well in the middle of the field for Kilglass Gaels here this evening. So meanwhile the ball is back to Pierce Bulger. We're on the blow of half time now, as to say. So Pierce Bulger will have a chance to pull back a point here on his left foot. The last one he took from slightly wider position, he drifted wide on the left hand side, so he needs to correct that and bring it in more to get it over the bar. Pierce looks up, 3 or 4 steps up. Pierce Bulger on his left foot, no, he does the same again, it drifts out to the same side and wide. That's unfortunate. That's 2 point chances that would have brought Kilglass back into this game, but unfortunately they haven't taken them, and so the initiative is back with nGael, who are still down to 10 men or 14 men, still with 14 men, but holding the upper hand here. Callum O'Brien has come to the middle of the field and caught the last 2 kickouts. This one is coming towards him again. O'Brien again, and with that Shea Galvin calls the half-time whistle. So at half-time in this game, nGael lead by 1 goal and 11 points to 1 goal and 4, a 7-point game for nGael. As I said to you, funny game. Kilglass got off to a lightning start, nGael took over, but Kilglass came back into it with a penalty, but since that penalty has gone in and since the water break, nGael have asserted the pressure. So we're going to take a break for 1 or 2 minutes. We'll be back to you for a few words after this, so go and put that kettle on. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here. So we're at half time here on a wet and miserable Johnstown this evening for this junior championship match. nGael winning by 111 to 1-4. Here beside me is ex-nGael stalwart and chairman Vincent Herney, and I just came to have a few words. Vincent, good start by Kilglass Gaels, but nGael then exerted their pressure and looked to be the better team.
Yeah, Clann definitely looked to be the better team. But before I say anything more, I just got a call from Lee Mackin from Craigon, and he wanted to compliment Emmett on his fine reporting of the game. They're saying he's the best reporter by far in the county, so I'd just say well done, Emmett. There's great reports about you, and you're bringing the matches home to the people.
Lee Mackin, you should have more to be doing now than listening to me. So, getting back to the game, Vincent, nGael look to have the upper hand at the moment.
Yeah, the class performances from Johnny in particular. Johnny Dunnan, I think 1-3 to his name. A brilliant goal. He called the goal 3 minutes beforehand. He said there's a goal on, and received a great pass and off the bar into the back of the net. A brilliant goal.
A brilliant goal. Kilglass got off to a good start, getting the first 2 points. nGael then took over, and then Kilglass got back into it with a fortuitous enough penalty from a nGael mistake. Yeah,
it was a bit of a slip up. Of course, conditions and everything didn't help, and unfortunately there was a penalty given away, and the goalie almost saved the penalty. It was a good effort, but some great fielding in the game as well, Emmett.
Great. Since that penalty, and then since the water break, nGael have really taken over. David Connaughton and Shea Henry in the middle of the field, and laterally, when Killian and Bannon got the black card, Callum O'Brien has come to the middle of the field and showed his strength under the high ball.
He fetched 3 or 4 fantastic balls there. A great player, great potential. I think all around, Clann are showing a great eagerness there. But, there's a breeze there and conditions are terrible, and it's a sort of a day goals can happen. So we're hoping that Clann keep the pressure up.
Hope that nGael keep the pressure up, yeah. So in this second half, nGael are going into it with a 7-point lead in the second half. They should be able to see this out from now. Hopefully everything going well.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's no game won at half time, and you've seen games that can turn around. But Clann seem to have, that extra bit of talent, and hopefully on the bench, if they need to bring in a few fellas, to have a strong bench as well. But there's some great performances, great field, and Sean Fallon as well caught a few great balls.
Caught a couple.
Bino, tipped in with a great point there in the end.
Well, I suppose as is the want with this team, this is the nGael second team. Our senior team are out in the senior championship tomorrow evening. The big guys out here wanted to put their hand up to move up a step to that senior team, which can only be good.
Well, there's definitely 3 or 4 players there, and they're definitely well capable and great potential, and it looks good for Clann in the future too. That there's great young fellas there, but the master there for the first half has to be Johnny, and Johnny's ability on the field, his ability to encourage the other fellas around him and to help the other younger fellas, is an enormous benefit to this team.
It is, there's no question about it, and the nGael full forward line had been getting on top. Well, look at Vincent, thanks very much for coming up and having a few words with us. We look forward to nGael pushing on from here now and topping this group and going through, and thanks very much for having a few words with us. Thanks so much.
Hello to all the people at home.
All right, thank you.
Hope that was okay.
Am I on?
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome back on what is now turning out to be a really wet evening here in Johnstown. We just had the half-time cup of tea, which was great. Thanks very much for Dana for providing that. Meanwhile, on the attack, Kilglass going for an early score here to get themselves back in this match. That ball is with Feeney. Feeney with his right foot. Kevin Feeney, and that's a superb point. So once again, Kilglass gets off to a great start in this second half. Ball was won in the middle of the field, fed to Kevin Feeney like they did in the first half, and Feeney kicked a point. So we're now back to it's now 1-11 to 1-4. We're back to a 7-point ball game. 1-5, sorry. 1-11, 1-5, 6-point ball game. Ball is kicked out by Finner, middle of the field. Up goes Callum O'Brien, who's now playing out around the middle, but that ball breaks. Richie Dooner. Richie dinks that forward, but Oliver Herney out in front of Daniel Cox. Oliver Herney takes that ball and wins it well. He gives it to Adam Herney, attacking up the far side. Turns back, he could be in trouble, goes the whole way back to his goalkeeper, David Finner. David takes the ball and now looks to come out this side to Ronan Gavin. Ronan flicks that ball forward to Kieran Connaughton, who's had a great first half. Back to Ronan Gavin, and nGael attack up the right hand side. Ronan Gavin comes with that ball. He looks for the support. Shea Henry is running the outside, but he was covered. Goes back inside to David Connaughton, who's tackled by Feeney. Connaughton gets, and that's he got a free. He was probably lucky enough, I would suspect, but he gets his free and feeds it into the middle to Kieran Connaughton. Kieran Connaughton looks again to this side of the field, but Kieran decides to run, but takes too many steps with the ball. Well tackled by Kieran McHugh. Kilglass looks more up for it in this second half. They know they have to get off to a good start. Ball is with Kieran McHugh. Out here about 60 yards out. He's looking to see who to give it to. He doesn't have anyone available. Clann seems to have players, but he goes long, right into that goal mouth. Under that ball is Sean Fallon, who takes it supremely well. Strong under the ball, Sean, number 6. Sean feeds it out here to Shea Henry, and nGael build again. Kieran Connaughton, ever available, into the middle to Ross Naughton. Calling the play from centre forward, and Ross is fouled by Kevin Feeney in the middle of the pitch. After taking that ball, he tried to turn inside, and Kevin seems to have mistimed his tackle slightly, and Ross is down. Shea Galvin has called over Kevin Feeney. So this looks like it could be yes, it's a yellow card. So a yellow card for Kevin Feeney, a free for nGael. So a bright start made there again by Kilglass Gaels. Meanwhile, the rain is getting heavier here. At this stage, I'd like just to mention tomorrow, nGael, our senior team, play the old enemy, our close neighbours, Pearse, is in the county semi-final tomorrow evening, live on TG4, and we wish all the best to the nGael senior team. Also at 2 o'clock tomorrow, St Bridget's and Boyle playing the other senior semi-final. Meanwhile, back with the action, Kieran Connaughton to take this free. He's looking to see who to give to make up his mind. He goes long, puts that ball for Niall Lennon, who follows it out to the sideline, but that ball breaks inside and it's picked up, but Niall Lennon works hard to get it, but he's there with Richie Dooner, and Richie Dooner eventually picks up the ball and comes out. The wily Richie Dooner gives that ball into the centre to Cian Diffley. Cian Diffley back to Dooner, back to Diffley, and Kilglass works this out nicely. Ball is fed out to Michael McCormack. Michael McCormack attacks down this left hand side, feeds that ball to Kieran McHugh, who now seems to be out the field. Kieran turns inside, but overcarries that ball in a position where Kilglass look to be going well, and turns the play over. Sean Fallon hits the free quick to Ross Naughton. Ross Naughton goes right across the field to Dara Kildare. This nGael backline aren't a bit afraid to attack. Dara from number 7 attacks through the middle, goes by his man Maguire, the sub that comes on, feeds the ball low into the middle, but Richie Dooner, who's sitting back there, picks up the ball. So we're 4 minutes in a second, and there's a clearance, but that ball is picked up by David Connaughton, well read. David Connaughton feeds it back into the middle to Adam Herney, who's now playing up the field from corner back to Kieran Connaughton, who again is ever available. Kieran looks to see who's available, flicks it to Dara Kildare coming outside him, to Shea Henry on the 50-yard line. Shane Henry goes long into the middle. Oh, that's well taken inside by Callum O'Brien. Callum O'Brien's fielding in really tough conditions has been exceptional here this evening, be it in the middle of the field or as a target man at full forward. We'd also like to mention at this stage our Sheraton Hotel sponsored senior ladies team, nGael seniors ladies team, plays the county senior semi-final tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock against Shannon Gales in Croghan. We'd like to wish them all the best. So a big weekend for nGael, and that game will be streamed by the Roscommon Ladies Gaelic Football Association. Our senior men sponsored by Matrix Bathrooms. Meanwhile, that ball has gone over the bar from Callum O'Brien. So another score for nGael after that excellent fetch in the middle of the field. Ball is kicked out by Daniel Duffy to this side of the field. Killian Bannon goes up, ball comes off his hands, but Kieran Connaughton picks it up. Kieran Connaughton dinks it up the side to Rian McNamara. O'Rian takes that ball nicely, moves inside to Bannon, who has continued his run. Inside to the wily Johnny Dunnan. Johnny gets his hands on the ball, turns outside on his right foot. Johnny Dunnan curls the ball. Oh, and that ball comes off the crossbar, out to Callum O'Brien, who's ready and waiting. Callum turns out, feeds it out to Niall Lennon. Niall Lennon on his left foot, kicks, and Niall Lennon puts it over the bar. Oh, that's a good score. Great score. Callum O'Brien really is a target man in there, and Kilglass are really struggling to deal with him inside. Good point by Niall Lennon. So now, nGael has now picked up them 2 points again. We're now 113 to 1-5. It is now an 8-point game again. Daniel Duffy out the middle of the field to Kevin Feeney, who has come more into this game since he went out the field. He takes the free, but he is pushed away off the ball and the free has been given up the field. This is Maguire, Darren Maguire, who came on a sub, long and high into the middle. Kieran Connaughton going backwards, though that ball comes off the knees of Daniel Cox. Unfortunately, it came over the head of Oliver Herney, I think. So, ball is fed by Ronan Gavin back to David Finner. David Finner to Ronan Gavin down in this corner. nGael try to move this out. Even though they're down, the ball is moved out again to David Connaughton. David Connaughton to Ross Nocton. And meanwhile, as I said, Killian Bannon is back on the field, so nGael back to their full complement. As they attack, it's with Kieran Connaughton. Kieran Connaughton puts the ball into the middle of Shea Henry. This is good play by nGael. Outside again to Killian Bannon, who has appeared back. To Ronan Gavin, who has continued his run up the field, to David Henry, or Shea Henry to Johnny Dunnan, and that's a fabulous point by nGael. Moved the whole way up the field. It went through the hands of Kieran Connaughton, Killian Bannon, Ronan Gavin, who continued his run up from corner back. Shea Henry finally getting to the hands of Johnny Dunnan, who has scored what is now his, I'm sure Johnny Dunnan has a goal and 5 points kicked at this stage. Meanwhile, ball has been kicked out by Daniel Duffy again. He goes high to the middle of the field. Under this ball is Tommy Cox jumps. The ball breaks and it's picked up by David Connaughton. David Connaughton forward again to Niall Lennon. Niall Lennon, who's working hard on that wing. Niall ducks it into the middle for Johnny Dunnan, and Johnny Dunnan is out in front again, but that ball is won back by Leo Cox and it's taken then by Gavin Tully. Gavin Tully tries to come out with the ball, but referee Shea Galvin claims or deems that he was charging with the ball after they won it. He was charging with the ball, and the free in is to nGael. This nGael full forward line of Johnny Dunnan and Callum O'Brien especially are creating all sorts of problems in there for Kilglass Gaels. Both men well accomplished on winning the ball and both well accomplished on kicking their scores. So Callum O'Brien for his second free of the second half on his left foot, 25 yards out. Callum kicks it, but that one drifts to the left and that one drifts wide. So unusually a wide for nGael. They've been very accurate this evening. They hold their lead as they get ready to defend this, and Daniel Duffy looking up to see who's this. He comes this side of the field to Kieran McHugh. Kieran McHugh jumps with Kieran Connaughton. The ball breaks off hands and off Connaughton's hands, and it's a line ball to Kilglass. Ball is in the hands of Michael McCormack down underneath us here. Michael looks up. Kilglass needs something now to kickstart them back into this game. We're 8 minutes into this second half. Ball is given to Richie Dooner, always available and always looking for the ball. Richie flicks it into the middle to Gavin Tully, the goal scorer, centre half back. Gavin goes on a run. Gavin is strong going forward. Tackled by David Conn, gives it to Tommy Cox. Tommy Cox, and he was stopped going through. His run was checked by Shea Henry, and I have a feeling this card could be black for Shea. The ball was given by Gavin Tully. He went for the return, but Shea stood in and stopped his run going forward, and I think by the letter of the law that would suggest to me that our referee Shea Galvin will be coming with a card, and I would presume that card is yellow. Oh, it's his second yellow, so it's a second yellow for Shea Henry. Shea Henry is now off the field, so Shea Henry, who received a yellow in the first half, has got his second yellow card, and Shea Henry is now sent off. So nGael down to 14 men for the remainder of the match. So a chink of light for Kilglass Gaels, down to playing a nGael team down to 14. Meanwhile, Kieran McHugh has this free on the edge of the D, about 30 yards out with his right foot. Kieran looks up. He missed a few in the first half, but Kieran kicks this, but that ball drifts to the left and wide. Kilglass Gaels aren't having a successful evening from the free taken. That's, if I'm not mistaken, 4, if not 5 scoreable frees that missed. Pierce Bulger missed 2 left-footed ones just before half-time, and Kieran has missed that one. So there's chances here. Meanwhile, referee Shea Galvin is going to the linesman, who I think is Tony Brennan. They're speaking. Somebody has seen something there somewhere. Shea talks to the linesman. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's some administrative situation. It is. So we're back with the play. David Finneran to kick this ball out. Ball is high into the middle of the field. Underneath is Tommy Cox and Killian Bannon, but the ball breaks to McCormack. Ball is given back to Tommy Cox, into Gavin Tully, who's coming more into this game, to Michael McCormack raiding up. This is Feeney. Feeney kicks the ball, it hits the referee, unfortunately, and that ball will have to be thrown up. Meanwhile, our score is 114 to 1-5 at the moment. It's a 9-point game, and Kilglass are really struggling now to get back in parity. But meanwhile, they give a ball inside to Cox inside. Comes to Pierce Bulger. Pierce Bulger picks that ball up at centre half forward. He's fouled by Oliver Herney, and so we have yet another chance for Kilglass Gaels here. As I said, they're 9 points down. They need to be getting something pretty soon. We are now 11 minutes into this second half, so if Kilglass wants to get anything out of this game, they need to start taking their scores. They've had a bad evening with freeze, but now hopefully Kieran McHugh will put that right. He's about 26 or 7 yards out, about 15 yards to the left of the goal, perfect for a right-footed kicker. Meanwhile, you've heard that Cian Fallon McGowan has come on to the nGael team in place of number 18, Niall Lennon. So Niall, who had a good game, is gone for Cian Fallon McGowan. Meanwhile, that's a kick by Kieran McHugh, but unfortunately that ball again drifts to the left and wide. So I think when Kilglass Gaels looks back at this game, they will definitely have to agree that on another evening, if their free taking was going better for them, they'd be a lot closer. Anyhow, nGael sets up again with David Finneran. David comes long out this side of the field. Underneath the ball is Killian Bannon, goes up and fetches a great ball. Well held by Killian Bannon, who has appeared back after his black card. Killian looks up. Ball into the middle to Ross Nocton. Ross takes it but drops that ball, and Maguire picks it up, and now Tommy Cox. Marauding through from the middle of the field. Kilglass Gaels needs something now. He gives it outside to Daniel Cox. Back inside to McHugh. McHugh takes that ball, steps inside, he's tackled by Sean Fallon. Oh, that's good tackling by nGael. nGael have swarmed back there, even though they're down a man, they look to have about 3 extra. Ball is broke by Sean Fallon to Ronan Gavin. Sean takes the tackle by Kieran McHugh, but the referee, Galvin, says that he was charging with the ball after winning that ball inside. But when Kilglass fed that ball inside, as I says, nGael are down to 14 men, but they're defending in numbers, and from here it nearly looks like nGael has 2 or 3 extra men the way they're defending. Anyhow, change of free taker. Gavin Tully, the penalty taker, is going to take this one. Kilglass really needs something now to get them back into this game. So this is about 24 yards out to the left hand side of the goal for a right-footed kicker. Meanwhile, there's a hold up somewhere. Number 21, James Hackett, has come on to the Kilglass Gaels team. I'm not sure who's gone off, but number 21 Hackett has come on, and it is full forward Kieran McHugh who's gone off. Kieran, who started this game brightly, but unfortunately his shooting was a little bit wayward, and meanwhile we've got James Hackett in on the team, number 21, while Kieran McHugh goes off. Back to the play, Gavin Tully with this right-footed kick, 25 yards out. Gavin Tully takes this and he gauges that just perfect and puts it over the bar. That's a good score. Maybe Gavin Tully should have been taking these frees from early on. So he brings the ball back, and we now have 114 to 1-6 is our score. So we're back to an 8-point ball game. Meanwhile, time-wise, we have played 13 and a half minutes of this second half. We'll be coming to the water break shortly. David Finneran has had to go out into Johnstown and Outer Muir to bring that ball back, but he has found it. The referee is telling him he's watching the time. David takes the ball and kicks that ball out to the middle of the field. Up we go. Oh, Callum O'Brien once again. This man is imperious in the air this evening. At midfielder, full forward, breaks that ball, gives it to Ronan Gavin. Ronan Gavin comes marauding up the side. Ronan Gavin goes around his man, turns back. Kieran Connaughton, available as he has been all evening, back into the middle to David Connaughton, a bit quieter in this second half. David looks up to see what's available. He crosses the field, he flicks it to Callum O'Brien, who's now playing out the field, back to Sean Fallon. Sean to Kieran Connaughton, and nGael hold possession looking for that opening. So 22. So James McGurk was also come on to the Kilglass Gaels team. James McGurk is in, and it was him that for that foul. Kieran Connaughton meanwhile attacks and it gives it to Sean Fallon. Sean, who's strong at centre back, comes up looking to see who to offload to. Ross Nocton, who's running this game well from centre forward, back to David Connaughton. nGael, who are down to 14 men, are content to play this ball around, hold possession and seeking the probe for an opening. Derek Kildare goes out right the whole way over to Adam Herney on the far side. Adam flicks it inside to David Connaughton. Clann have done well to hold on to this ball. Connaughton back into the middle to Derek Kildare again. Clann are content to hold on to the ball. Derek Kildare comes right over this side again to Ronan Gavin. Ronan Gavin now gives it to Killian Bannon in space. Killian Bannon puts his head down and heads for goal. Inside the 50, 40. Turns inside, flicks that ball inside and eventually comes to Ross Nocton. Ross comes out to his right foot, gives it out to Rian McNamara, but his shot is well blocked in there by Gavin Tully, who takes that ball back to Richie Dooner and Kilglass attack again with Michael McCormack down this side, back into Richie Dooner, who seems to have fallen back into a defensive position. Gavin Tully, who seems to be playing further out the field, to Tommy Cox. Tommy looks up, Richie Dooner has looped outside him. So between Dooner, Cox and Tully, they're bringing them back into this game. This is out to the new man, James McGurk. McGurk gives it inside to Bulger. Bulger, a left-footed player. And then he comes and hits with his right, but that's a great block by Ronan Gavin. Ronan got across to get a hand in on this, and once again nGael break. Ronan Gavin to David Connaughton. David Connaughton turns inside Feeney. David Connaughton still has the ball, carrying up along to the Callum O'Brien, who was, that's a lovely solo dummy by Callum O'Brien. Puts that ball low across to Johnny Dunn the way he likes it. Johnny picks it up. This guy is so dangerous. Turns. He's tackled there by Leo Cox, but he feeds it out to Killian Bannon, and Killian takes a shot. It's not gone wide yet. It's well taken by Cian Fallon McGowan. Back out to Killian Bannon. Second chance of a shot, and stopped, taken well by Daniel Duffy in the goal. So Killian got a reprieve there and got a shot at goal, but just dropped it short, Daniel Duffy. So meanwhile, Raymond Carty takes it out the far side for Kilglass. Tackled by Callum O'Brien. But we have a bit of, I'd like to call it handbags in the middle of the field between Tom Cox and Kieran Connaughton. I think Cox was running to make a run for the ball, and Kieran was sort of saying to him, well, Tommy, you're going nowhere now. So Sean Galvin, our referee, calms them down, and that is Sean Galvin, the referee. I think during the course of this game I've called him Shay, and I've probably called him 3 or 4 different names. This is Sean Galvin of the famous Galvin family from Ballyfourne, who is actually doing an excellent job here this evening. So Gavin Tully leaves that ball down, and Sean calls for a water break. So we head into our second water break after 17 minutes and 18 seconds of the second half, and our score at the moment is nGael are 114 to Kilglass 1-6. So we have 8 points difference. nGael have been very comfortable. Anytime Kilglass has made any sort of a burst like they did at the beginning of the second half, when they started the second half excellently, nGael have been able to absorb, hold up possession, realign themselves and move up the field. And inside with Callum O'Brien and with Johnny Dunnan, they've been very dangerous in there. So any ball that's getting into them, they're finishing it. Once again, just to remind you that our Matrix sponsored senior team are on tomorrow evening in the county semi-final. It really is a big weekend for nGael. We've got these guys here this evening in their junior championship. We've got our senior ladies at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning down in Croghan playing Shannon Gales in the county semi-final. As I says, that's been streamed live at 11 o'clock by Roscommon Ladies Gaelic Football Association. And then at 3:50 tomorrow, our senior team takes the field in the Hyde Park against county champions and near neighbours Porrick Pierces. And this is a game that everyone has been looking forward to. At that stage, whoever wins that will know their opposition in the final, as Boyle take on St. Bridget's in the earlier game. Meanwhile, to remind you again, our lotto, €11,000 this weekend. And wouldn't that be just perfect leading into Christmas? You can buy your tickets on www.clann.ie or from whoever your local ticket seller is. Of course, this is our junior championship team, sponsored by Series Bear and Athlone. And just to reflect on the game so far, I have to say this has been a good performance by nGael. This nGael team started this campaign against Pierces and had a solid win up in Woodmount against Pierces. And then 2 weeks ago they went down to Kilteven and had a big win against Elfin. So I think the success of our senior team is being mirrored in our second team, which is a natural sort of a situation, I suppose, because everybody on this second team are striving to try and make their way onto the senior team. And on an evening like this evening, you would have to say that Callum O'Brien And David Connaughton and Kieran Connaughton, these guys are all saying to Liam Kearns, well, look at us, don't forget about us. And of course the man that's really putting up his hand is the guy that's been there before and done it all before so many times for us, Common and Clann nGael, the ageless Jonathan Dunnan, who is the scorer of a goal and 4, if not 5 points this evening. Johnny Dunnan has a goal and 4 points this evening. So we're back to the action. Kilglass Gaels now has 15 minutes to try and turn their championship season round. So they start off by playing that ball out to the right hand side, and they attack up the far side with Raymond Carty. Raymond gives it into Gavin Tully, who has come more and more into this game. Now that ball is played inside to Feeney, but Ronan Gavin gets a hand in. Sean Fallon gets that ball out to David Connaughton, to Ronan Gavin, to Kieran Connaughton again. Kieran looks out, Killian Gannon but he turns back into the middle. Killian Bannon was free. Ronan Gavin holds that ball back to his goalkeeper David Finner, and Clann nGael aren't afraid to take their time and set this up. Kieran Connaughton, ever available, has been very good this evening. Kieran looks up, feeds that ball up along to Dara Shine, who has come on, the ageless Dara Shine, who has come on for Ian McNamara. Dara at number 19. Dara gives it to Callum O'Brien. Callum goes inside to Johnny Dunnan, but he never had a hope of getting that. That ball is well won by Leo Cox. Leo out to Gavin Tully, who has come more into this game, to Richie Dooner. Richie Dooner to Dara Maguire, and Dara Maguire attacks up the middle. Dara Maguire now gives it out to Feeney. Feeney on his right foot. This is one of their best forwards. He takes his shot, but unfortunately that ball drifts to the left and wide. And Kilglass, you know, on an evening like this evening, on another evening, if they had been gone over, it would have been a much closer match. I have to say their shooting hasn't matched their approach play. Meanwhile, going back to that substitution, Dara Shine, nearly probably as old as Johnny Dunnan, has come onto the field for Ian McNamara. As I was saying earlier on, Clann nGael's lethal weapon of their two-man full forward line, Callum O'Brien and Johnny Dunnan, who have both scored 1-4 apiece, or both scored 114. So Johnny Dunnan has, Callum O'Brien has 4 points and Johnny Dunnan has 1-4. Meanwhile, David Finner out the middle of the field. Callum O'Brien attacks that ball again. Gavin Tully, who has come more and more into this game. Gavin gives it to the side to Michael McCormick. Michael McCormick to Richie Dooner, who in fairness to him has tried really hard. Richie up to the new man James Hackett. James turns outside and gives that ball outside to Maguire. Maguire to Richie Dooner, who has continued his run. Richie goes into that corner, goes down on the ball, comes up with it. He did really well, tackled by Oliver Herney, and he wins his free. And I have to say Richie Dooner really worked hard for that free and deserves a free. Richie is one of the older members of this team, but you wouldn't think it by this evening. He has put in a really good performance, working really hard. So Pierce Bulger with the number 11 on that left foot was in hard luck with 2 frees before half time. They both drifted away on him. Meanwhile, our linesman is calling Kilglass are bringing on a sub. They're making another change. So who's coming in? I'll let you know in a minute what's happening there with them. Pierce Bulger has the ball in his hand on the 14 yards line. This should be a score. Meanwhile, he takes it away and he hands it to, I think, Barry Conroy, is it, that has that ball. Meanwhile, the reason he did is because Pierce Bulger has been replaced. So Pierce number 11 has gone off and he has been replaced by number 20. I'll tell you in a second. But meanwhile, Barry Conroy has kicked over that ball there. He's replaced. Bulger's replaced by Michael Diffley, number 25. So Barry Conroy kicked that ball over the bar to bring the score back to, it is now 114 to 1-7. So it's a 7-point ball game now. As that ball kicked out to the middle of the field, Gavin Tully, who's come more and more into this game, goes up and breaks the ball in the middle of the field. Goes to one of the subs. He's on the ground, but he picks it up. That sub is James Hackett. James Hackett works really hard and eventually gets his free. James Hackett, quick, while Clann nGael to Maguire. Maguire turns inside. Now, there's more life to this. Inside to Feeney, but Ronan Gavin gets in a superb hand. But that ball breaks to Barry Conroy. Barry Conroy picks it up, feeds it back out to the new man. That ball, or Tommy Cox, that ball sweeps across the goal, but Kevin Feeney was in hard luck. So Tommy Cox took that ball, hit with his left foot, it ballooned across the goal. And that's the change we told you about earlier. Michael Diffley has come on for Pierce Bulger. So I think that Kilglass Gaels, after 25 minutes, Looks like they really have a lot to do. As I said, our score is now standing at 114 to 1-7. It's now a 7-point ball game as David Finneran kicks that ball out the field. It's dropping in the middle. They're all around here. Richie Dooner goes up again, but that ball falls to Killian Gann. Bannon tries to pick it up, but the new man Maguire picks it up and gives it inside to Gavin Tully. Gavin Tully to Tommy Cox, and these boys are coming through the middle again. Cox back to Tully. These are strong. Tully takes the strong. Tully hits with his right foot. The ball breaks. Feeney jumps. Ball breaks again. Barry Conroy is under it, but no, that ball is picked up by Adam Herney. Oh, that's excellent defending by Adam Herney, who clears that ball and is fouled as he's kicking it, and it's a free for nGael outside the 50-yard line. That's good defending by nGael. Kilglass seems to be limited to Tom Cox, Richard Dooner and Gavin Tully. They're big men in the middle, attacking up the middle. Meanwhile, David Connaughton picks up that ball, gives it out to his left to Derek Kildare, who's attacking up. He goes long into the middle where Johnny Dunnan is under this ball with Cox. Dunnan gets a hand to it, knocks it out, but the new man James McGurk picks up that ball, feeds it back to Daniel Duffy in the goal. Daniel Duffy looks up and gives that ball out here to James Hackett. James Hackett back in the middle to Leo Cox, who has come out the field. Leo to Michael McCormack. Michael McCormack comes down the middle, and now Richie Dooner, or Gavin Tully. Gavin Tully turns up again, gives it to McCormack. Opening here, they really need a goal. Richie Dooner, the ever available Richie Dooner, attacking up the left hand side, turns inside with his right foot. They're looking for a goal. Ball is in the middle to Tommy Cox. Tommy looks up, Tommy takes a shot, Tommy puts it in, and Tommy puts it over the bar. Good score by Kilglass, good score by Tommy Cox. And now we're back to a 5-point ball game. So all of a sudden, Kilglass Gaels has come back into this game. So we're now at it's 114 to 1-8. So it's still a safe, but it's a 6-point ball game. So to their eternal credit, it's 114 to 1-6. It's been a while since nGael got a score. The ball has been Kilglass has been attacking, and they've really been making an effort to come back in. Meanwhile, the ball is put out to the far side under Callum O'Brien, who jumped with Richie Dooner, and that ball broke, but Callum was fouled. The ball has been fed forward, but there's a hold up because there's an injury there to, I'm sure it's Richie Dooner, who jumped with that ball for Callum O'Brien, and as he came down, fouled O'Brien. So just to clarify the score, because it's such a wet evening and we're trying to watch it, it's 114 to nGael, 1-8 to Kilglass Gaels. So a 6-point ball, and we have now played 27 minutes of the second half. Meanwhile, I'm getting my microphone readjusted. So I hope you can hear me. I hope you hear me better. Meanwhile, the ball is given quick to Callum O'Brien, who took it inside Gavin Tully. O'Brien again, who's had an excellent game this evening. O'Brien goes to ground, but dinks that ball inside, where it's well won inside by Raymond Gerty. Raymond wins it ahead of Colin McGowan. Oh. So Raymond Gerty won that ball and was coming out, and Cian Fallon McGowan was tackling him, and Raymond retaliated a little bit. It caught Cian Fallon McGowan, who's down. So physio Tony Flannery has come out on the field to see what's happening. Meanwhile, Sean Galvin is calling Raymond Gerty out, and I'd say a lot of that was due to pure frustration more than anything else. Raymond, who's cornerback for Kilglass, on a full back line that has been under extreme pressure from Johnny Dunnan and Callum O'Brien all evening. The referee has called over Raymond Gerty. He's talking to him. Gerty has pleaded his innocence. Meanwhile, Cian Fallon McGowan is back up and on his feet. So we'll see what Sean Galvin is going to do. As we're aware, nGael are down to 14 men, even though in this second half they've played really well, they've defended well, and unfortunately it's a straight red for Raymond Gerty. So with 29 minutes played, Kilglass Gaels are now down to 14 men, the same as nGael. So we're in the dying embers of this game. nGael lead by 6 points at the moment, 114 to 1-8. Ball is thrown in. Callum O'Brien attacks it, as with Gavin Tully. Ball breaks and it's a free out. Richie Dooner, who has been in everywhere in fairness to him. Richie dinks it over the top to Maguire. Maguire turns inside and gives that ball in to Barry Conroy. Barry Conroy looking up. He has got a man outside him, but Barry Conroy is going himself. Barry Conroy followed by David Connaughton. Barry Conroy kicks with left. Well, that is a superb point by Barry Conroy. On the run, he picked that ball up in the middle of the field, carried it with his left foot, followed by David Connaughton, and curled over a wonderful point from 30 yards out. Kilglass Gaels have at times during this game shown glimpses that they're more than capable. As I said, what let them down this evening really was their free taking. They've missed maybe 5 or 6 scoreable frees. Meanwhile, David Finneran out the middle of the field. Ball is dropping under Kieran Connaughton. Kieran Connaughton goes up, ball goes over. Cian Fallon McGowan, but Richie Dooner. Once again, you have to hand it to this guy. He has worked so hard. Richie gives that ball into the middle to Darren Maguire. He gives the ball up alongside to Barry Conroy, who has come into his own in the last few minutes. Back into the middle to Gavin Tully. Gavin Tully looks up to see what's available. They really need a goal. Gavin goes into the corner to the other sub, which is Michael Diffley, but that ball is won well back in there by Ronan Gavin, who has had an excellent game back in that back line. Ronan, of course, a hugely experienced player, played senior for the last couple of years for Clann, and you would know that experience is shown in there. Meanwhile, the free was taken by Derek Kildare, but he misdirected that completely and it's gone out behind the stand. So we're into the last we're gone 30 minutes over the 30 minutes, so we're near there. Clann have only scored 3 points in this half. They were 111 at half time, they were 114, so you really say Kilglass Gaels has outscored them well. Meanwhile, high ball into the middle, that is well taken in there by the number 21 James Hackett, but the ball breaks and it's turned over again, and once again Kieran Connaughton to Dara Shine. Dara comes this side to Callum O'Brien. Callum, who has played in and out, he's been moving, he's worked really hard this evening and played exceptionally well. Callum O'Brien attacking up this right hand side, turns inside to Ronan Gavin. Clann using their guile and experience now, holding that ball up to David Connaughton, to Callum O'Brien, to Sean Fallon. This is good play by Clann. Sean takes the ball, drops that ball and it's picked up by James Hackett. James Hackett to Gavin Tully. Now Gavin Tully goes long. And that ball has come inside to Feeney. Feeney has a run at goal. He puts the ball, he tried, and he still has it. Feeney still has it. He tried to slip that ball soccer style inside to Barry Conroy, and if it had got through, he was clean on goal. But an excellent block in there by Oliver Herney and Ronan Gavin. Meanwhile, the ball is kicked out to Dara Shine. Dara Shine comes up along this field to Killian Bannon. Killian Bannon, who's had a good second half, to David Connaughton, who's worked really hard. David turns aside, back to Bannon, who looped outside him. Bannon inside to Ross Nocton. That's well taken by Ross Nocton, and he's forced an open for himself. He's straight in and goal. Ross Nocton shoots. Back off the crossbar. Excellent chance by Ross Nocton, created by himself, and he went high over the goalkeeper and the ball smacked back off the crossbar. Look for Kilglass Gaels, but a really well orchestrated chance for himself. Meanwhile, the other end, Tommy Cox takes that ball, gives it out to Maguire. Darren Maguire turns inside, back to Tommy Cox, turns inside his man, and Tommy Cox just overcarried that ball while he was travelling at speed towards the Clann goal. And it's been a mixture of poor play by Kilglass Gaels, but indeed good defensive work by Clann that has put Kilglass under pressure when they've been attacking. Meanwhile, Michael McCormack goes down on that ball, picks it up, tackled by Killian Bannon and fouled by Killian Bannon. So we're well into injury time here. We have now played 32 and a half minutes, so it depends what Sean Galvin is going to play on. Meanwhile, Gavin Tully looking up. Kilglass has no choice now but to go for a goal. But he's played well, gives outside to Maguire. Maguire back to Dooner. Dooner looks up. Dooner tries a right footing. Michael McCormack feeds it back to his goalkeeper Daniel Duffy. Daniel Duffy to Richie Dooner, who has been everywhere this evening. Richie Dooner has never stopped trying. Moving out the field, looking up to see what's available. He's calling his man towards him. He turns back in this side again. He looks up and dinks that ball into Shane McCormack, who's come onto the team. Shane McCormack now is with Tommy Cox. Tommy Cox tackled by Kieran Connaughton. Tommy Cox looks up to see what's available. Tommy goes back to McCormack. I think McCormack back again to Cian Diffley. Cian Diffley turns. David Finneran is getting his lace tied by the umpire down there. So it's just eventually it's ended up as being a 5-point game. It's 114 to 1-9. Clann have only scored 3 points. So for all they're playing the second half, they've only scored 3, and they've been well outscored by Kilglass Gaels, who are on 1-9. David Finneran kicks that ball out the field, comes this side. Killian Bannon once again gets a hand to it, but unfortunately puts it out over the line. Line ball given inside. Feeney comes in front and wins it. Does well, comes across on his right foot. Feeney tackled by Oliver Herney. Feeney flicks that ball outside to Maguire. Maguire takes on his left foot. Ball is dropping inside. Barry Conroy is inside. And he's taken down, but that ball breaks. Ball breaks to Sean Fallon. There was a collision in there between Barry Conroy and David Finneran. And I think David Finneran, we might be lucky that there was no penalty there, but the ball broke between them. Meanwhile, David Connaughton attacks up the left-hand side to Dara Shine. Dara Shine picks it up. Clann were lucky there. And Dara Shine is fouled on that far side, and it's a free to Clann. So that was a long speculative ball in that broke to Barry Conroy. The ball broke, he collided with David Finneran, and lucky enough Sean Fallon was there to pick up the pieces. Ball is cleared up the field. Adam Herney, it's played back out to Dara Shine. Dara Shine on the wing. Dara looks up, dinks that ball inside, and it's picked up inside by Ross Nocton. Ross flicks it up and gives it back out to Dara Shine. Gives that ball back inside to the waiting David Connaughton. David Connaughton tacks in along the side, and David Connaughton is fouled by Gavin Tully coming in along. So we have another free to Clann on the 14 yards line, an eminently scoreable free. It's in the hands of Johnny Dunnan, and Johnny will proceed to kick what will be his 5th point of the kick of the game. So that was Johnny Dunnan, has his 5th point, a goal and 5 points for Johnny Dunnan, and we've finished up with a final score Clann 115 to 1-9. So in what was in a lot of ways an entertaining game, Clann were on top all through for most of the game. They were on top and up their game again and match them. But I think that Kilglass Gaels, when they look back at this game, Kilglass Gaels will see that the chances that they missed, and if I'm not mistaken, they kicked about 7 wides in that second half. So what turned out to be a dreary wet evening here in Johnstown, Clann have prevailed in this game. Once again, I'd like to thank Michael and Maria McCarthy and Declan Walsh for their great production here this evening. I hope everybody at home enjoyed it. Once again, to remind everybody that our senior ladies are on to the Sheridan sponsored senior ladies play the county semi-final tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in Croghan, to be screened by Roscommon Ladies GFA. Then at 10 to 4 the big one, Clann and Porrick Pierces in Hyde Park in the county semi-final, and as you all know, which has been screened live on TV. Bathroom sponsor Clann senior team. So once again, we wish all the best of luck to the Clann ladies team and the Clann seniors team. Keep in mind that lotto is 11,000. It's there to be won, so don't forget to get your ticket for that. So in surmising, Clann with their 3rd win in the group finished the group on top on 6 points. Kilglass Gaels finish on 2, and depending on how Porrick Pierces does this evening against Elphin, it looks very like it's going to be Clann and Porrick Pierces going directly to the quarter-finals, and Kilglass will hope to get through the back door. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, from a wet and windy Clann, thanks to our production team, thanks to Fidelma for all the help up here, thanks to everybody who helped in this broadcast, and we look forward to talking to you again. And on a wet Saturday evening, it has finished in Johnstown, Clann 115, Kilglass Gaels 1-9. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again. Bye for now.